Abby, like,
does the TV volume control the volume of the headphones as well?
No.
Not
Do you want me
kind.
to
Okay, could you turn up the headphones a little bit?
Not bad,
Yeah.
Abby. I'm not.
This is because you whistle next to me at work.
Oh, I know.
Oh, well,
Lisa.
all the voices are really loud now, actually.
Here, let me debug
Mix
for
it. Mix it.
Mix it.
So Bogdan, can you tell us
Okay,
about
so,
May? What are you doing next month?
So next month, so I've been working on a project for a live show I'm doing next month up in Sheffield in the UK. And what it is, it's an algo rave. And what that is really cool. It's a rave where people dance and stuff, but all the music is made in real time by programming it. So basically you watch someone code the music from scratch, from zero code to like
Rave.
rave. And it's quite it's a very particular sort of genre. Like it's quite repetitive and dancey and stuff like that. And some people program it in a language called tidal cycles. Some people use a lot of other languages. Some people use Max or whatever. But I'll be using Dreams to do live coding, more like live patching, basically.
Which is awesome.
And by patching, I mean wiring. So I'm going to be on stage, and I'm going to be, with my PS4 console, attempting to connect the wires to all these gadgets really quickly with my controller, so that music comes out.
And visuals.
And it's really scary. And visuals as well.
While people rave.
But people
Actually,
rave.
I
That's
just realized
this.
Yes.
I have not published the thing I was going to show. Have I? Let's find out.
Do you want to run downstairs and do it? We can stall for time.
Yeah.
We'll just do the staring thing that we did earlier.
Yeah, let me just come back. I'll come back in a
Okay,
second.
we're going to do the staring thing that we did earlier.
Okay.
Alex can make some weird noises in the meantime. Yeah, because I've come in a bit early, actually, so I didn't have plan.
It's better when we did it in sync, though.
Yeah, we
and
did it.
all of a sudden
No
we're
one
good.
knew. We just stared. We had an awkward moment, and all three of us just went.
We can cut to kitchen cam.
Cut to kitchen cam. Let's have a look around the studio.
Oh, God.
It's Costa. Costa.
Who's on camera? Wave for the camera, Costa. So Costa is... What is Costa? What is Costa?
Costa is everything.
Philosophical.
Costa, do you want to come and sit down with your food while you... Come on. Come on. Come on.
I'm gonna go here.
Nah,
The
mate.
camera
You
can see me.
coming here.
I'm gonna eat this first because I'm gonna take over for Andrew in a minute.
Oh, okay, cool. Costa's our release producer.
Release producer. So
I'm
the
telling
fact
you.
that the game made it onto the store
He sits next to
is
you.
thanks to... Does he?
Like right there.
Hi, Costa. What's your name?
Well,
Nice to meet you. Well,
I'm Abby. This is Tom.
Yeah.
This is
Oh,
Ollie,
hi.
Lisa,
Show me around.
Costa,
show me around next time.
Bogdan.
Yeah.
Tom Lee's going to come hang with us for a little bit as well.
Hey,
Yay!
hello.
He's 8 foot tall and 7 years old. I love it.
What an intro.
Okay, so
At least he knows your name.
Yeah.
We developed him at the start of Dreams.
Yeah.
Can't do
To be
a
the
mix for
ultimate
you.
curator.
We did do the game of like how old we're
We'll shut up.
how
We will-
old
I
was
never shut
Tom
up.
when Dreams started.
Yeah, Tom, actually, when we started Dreams, were you...
Was it 8 years ago? I think it was 10.
Well, yes, yeah, don't say that. 7.5.
Yeah,
So he was 10 and a half.
Tom makes...
So,
Oh,
the
Tom.
thing to remember there, right? When we did LVP, we always used to get loads of emails from people who were like 10 years old. They're like, oh my god, I love MM, I'm going to work with you one day.
Yeah.
But you didn't email.
Yeah, but I mean, like, that was 10 years ago, and those people...
So you
I know.
stole some other
We're
kid's
waiting
dreams.
Yeah, can now work with
those
us.
CVs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Send them back in.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, way to steal some other kid's dream.
Yeah.
Yeah, jeez.
Snatch.
Yeah.
Media molecules / jobs. We're looking for places.
Yeah, we had a place for someone who was an actual fan, and then Tom took it. That's basically...
Yeah, that's me.
That's you.
My job is professional fan.
Professional fan.
Yeah. I'm really bad.
okay, so what I was going to do basically on this stream before
Right, back to Bogdan.
before everyone gets carried away is first of all I was going to show you some some of the things I've been working on for this algorithm thing. But the problem is this isn't my actual kit because I made it on the wrong server. So I remade this today very quickly. So it's a very, very small sort of part of it. And it might not be anywhere near as good, but that's whatever. But the other thing I was going to do is if there's any questions about the music tech or whatever, I'm happy to answer like in-depth sort of technical questions.
Okay.
Sure.
And also maybe I'll show a couple of techniques and stuff.
I'm going to mess around with the lighting while you do that.
But nothing...
We're looking a bit dark.
But nothing will beat Alex Wave.
No.
Yeah, and I mean this is going to be a bit experimental, so like you're going to have to bear with me a little bit basically.
I'm going to go sit my Bogdan.
Like in the other project, I've done a lot of work on the instruments and stuff. These are like default Dreams instruments, which are really good, but sometimes a bit clean.
Just need me to move. Is my...
Hello.
Reflection.
So what this is basically is this is a timeline. And by the way, I've just published this on the early access server, so you can play with this if you'd like to.
What's it called?
It's called Mini Chef because Sheffield,
Ah, Sheffield.
and Mini
Nice.
because it's not the main one. It's a small version of the thing I'm using.
Okay. So this isn't a spoiler for the rave. You should go to the rave if you're in
So
Sheffield.
okay, so I'll show you what this is basically, what the concept is, and it's a bit of logic. So I'll just try to go through it step by step. So this is a timeline called main, and this main timeline has a bunch of instruments in it which are empty, so it does nothing currently. And I can open one of these up and use the DualShock as usual to,
You can't hear it, but you can.
and like perform with the DualShock. I'm gonna move these things out of the way because they're in the way of where I'm playing. So I can record into here, and I'll just quickly record something to give you an idea of like what I can do with the stuff on the right here. So let's just get a beat going.
Or Paprika Kit.
3, 4.
Sometimes when I see Bogdan do stuff, and I understand none of it, and then it comes out and it's amazing at the end. And
All right, so we've got a beat over there. So on the right over here, there's a thing called Everys. And this is a concept that's inspired by other sort of algorithmic music programs. And what it is in this timeline, I have some sub-timelines. And all they do is, there's one that repeats every single bar. So this is this kind of like segment of 4 stripes here. That's 1 bar, so that's what we call that. And this one's half a bar, and this one's a beat, which is a fourth of a bar. And this is half of a bar, I think. It might not be actually. I think it is. Let's just believe that it is. Maybe it should be shorter. I don't know. I'll deal with that. I'm not going to use that anyway. It's not important. I made this so quickly earlier that like it might have mistakes. So I call these clocks. So what they do is I get a click out of these timelines every single. So for example, this one every 4 beats. Out of this wire, you'll get a click. And this goes into here, or a trigger rather. And this trigger from that goes into this microchip over here, which is called 2. And you'll see I have one which is 2, one which is 3, and one which is 5. And what this bit of logic does is, the trigger from that clock comes in, increments the selector, and the selector will wrap around every 2 in this case. So what this does is, like every other bar, this will be true. So I'll have a signal out that says this is the 2nd bar, and then the 4th bar will be triggered, and the 6th bar, and so on.
And all of this could work with not music. This isn't just unique to music.
So I'm going to plug this into visuals as well at some point if we have time. But you'll see like this one, for example, is on 3. So this one, every 3, it'll have a positive signal. This one's every 5. So I have 2, 3, and 5 for the whole song level. So every 3 entire sort of loops of this timeline. And then I have every 2 and 3 and 5 of the bar, and every 2 and 3 and 5 of the beat, and so on, basically. So if I start playing, you'll see that they start sort of turning on. They'll start going green, basically, to indicate that those ones are not active. So that's the idea of, like, you take the song, and you have these numbers, which oftentimes are prime numbers, so they'll repeat over a very long sort of cycle. Like if I had a 3 and a 5, they'd only, like, overlap on 15, effectively, basically. But I mean, with 2 and 4, you can do quite a lot as well. So let's see what this could be used for. So I have a beat over here, and it just does that currently. Now, I'll take this pitch -2 effect field. Okay, so I'll explain effect fields first. If I drag this effect field over here into my timeline, you'll hear the effect that it has in this section. It goes really low pitched, basically. Is everyone just sitting here in silence, not hearing everything?
No, we can hear it.
But if I take a signal out of, say, this one, every 3 half bars, it'll activate that effect field, basically. So now it's kind of like, in a cyclical way, turning on and off that effect, basically. And I can very quickly start adding more and more of these, say, like, high-pass filter. Start plugging these things in and like adding them to my timeline. And at the moment it's just a beat, so it's a very simple example. So now, for example, in this microchip here, there's a single sound which is just a crash symbol. So also I can trigger those out of events. So for example, this measures a loop of the entire timeline. So for example, I can make it every 2 iterations of the timeline, trigger that one shot. So I'm kind of making music by like recording some stuff, but a lot of it is coming from all this algorithmic stuff happening in the background. So now when this goes over 2 cycles, you'll hear a crash cymbal at the end. So the first time it won't do it, and the second time it'll do it.
Get ready.
This is high anticipation.
And philosophically, music is about controlled repetition. It's like repeating things over and over again so you get familiar, but then messing with it. That's what you're doing here.
Yeah, so this whole thing happens over like a 4-bar loop. So that's the entire song that's exists.
And there are many songs that are like that.
Exactly, but when you see this live, so at the moment I'm going very slowly to explain things, but live I'll be like jiggling my hands around really quickly, plugging all the wires in very, very quickly, and the performance is adding these sort of conditionals and stuff. So like, Boggwave is this sort of repeated application of conditionals. It's what they call it.
Well, it's not just Boggwave, man. It's all music. If you listen to a pop song, it's your favourite song on the radio, they probably built it up in the studio out of 1 or 2 different sections that they then loop and then bring stuff in and out and arrange. It's called arrangement. You sort of do this process, but you're just doing it rave algo style.
So we have over here another set of effects, which is like, for example, grain, random glitch. So I can plug that out of here as well, and I can have this again happen only every 2 times, but I can also make it only happen during this part of the timeline. And then some crazy glitches, basically. It's a bit much, so I'm not going to do that now. But let's add some melody as well. I'm just going to try to go for it, basically. So when I'll be doing this live, time will be running continuously. I'll never be able to stop time. So it's about building on top of the loop continuously, basically.
Unless you want to troll dancers.
This is why Bogdan does these, not Alex.
What is it, just the silence for 3 bars, just waiting.
Randomized bits of us screaming and making weird noises, and then just dead silence.
Hush, Abby Happy.
Alright, I'll show you another technique that I use. So this is actually kind of interesting. Let's have this odd drummer kit over here. I don't think we've ever shown this before, but let's put a bunch of effects on the right side here. So I'm going to move these effects. I don't know what they do, but when I play over here, that's the sound you get. When I play over here, you get interesting sort of distortion effects. I'm going to make one of these also add delay. Okay, so here's an interesting thing we have that you can use for live algorithmic performance. If you tweak a sound, let me just record some stuff actually. 2, 3, 4. So I've just added this bass drum rhythm basically. We have a feature which is, I think, on this page, the effects page, which lets you, as an XY offset, move the entire performance around in 2D.
Oh, cool. I added this one, and everyone was like, why? And now it's being used.
That's very cool. I
So,
didn't know that was a thing.
so if I start playing, you'll hear the bass drum sort of over there, but if I move this, you get crazy distortion effects. But how can we do this algorithmically? Well, we can take some of these everys and plug them into the X and Y values over here. And then they'll overlap in a very sort of unpredictable way. So now you'll see this automatically moving itself. But I need to make it... So that's just the bass drum basically, but it becomes interesting by adding these sort of conditionals. Let's add a sub bass.
Everyone's impressed with your dual skill.
How long does it take you to learn? How long does it take you to learn how to like play this? To play this?
Yeah.
Like, is it like an instrument?
Sounds very good.
I don't really touch the sound.
added, for example, this melody over here. Another thing I can do is I can make it play only sometimes. So for example, make that only play every third entire song loop. So now, sorry?
When you're playing music, we can't hear people talking. So
Sure.
So sorry, Tom, we didn't hear anything you said.
Yeah, sorry. So this stream is gonna be very musical. So probably. So for example, I plug the wire into this melody right here. So this melody will only play every third time. So even though it's just this melody, it will only play every third of whatever that was, basically. I think every second of like the entire loop of the timeline. So it won't play now. You end up with long cycles that will just repeat very, very slowly, basically. Not this one. It will take a while, basically.
Is it 5 or 3?
I think it's some really long sort of thing. But let's also make it have a +5 or +7. You know, occasionally shift it up by +7 semitones as well. So you'll see that because of the filters that we have in this timeline, some of these elements drop out occasionally, but also have these droppers here on the left. So this might sound really complicated, but I mean, I've been developing this over weeks, and it's a pre-finished system, so this took me a while to make. But you can do all this stuff yourself, obviously. It's just like...
And it's available now.
Yeah, like don't be intimidated by the fact that I've got a lot of stuff here.
It's
This
called
was
Mini
a
Chef.
lot of thinking.
If you want to play along, it's called
this
Mini
is
Chef.
published already. But these droppers, what they do is if I plug a signal into any of these droppers, it'll drop one of these instruments, basically. So like, for example, I can make it not play the paprika kit every other so many things. But I'm going to add some more elements here first before I do any more dropping. Gonna have some drummer kit action going on. That's the drummer, and then I can bleeps and bloops. So now we can start dropping these occasionally. Every second one, it won't play that one, and so on. So you'll have weird cycles where like these elements like entirely drop out, and for example, now you're not hearing the paprika yet. So now it's added a lot of sort of variation to the entire performance. Where like if I leave it running for a long time, it'll kind of sort of manage itself.
Mm-hmm.
On the left, I have 4 tempo settings I can also plug into. So currently it's set to the normal tempo, but I can make it go allegro. That's really kind of fast sort of drill and bass. Turnip is very, very slow, like a turnip. And then stop it is just stops it basically.
Turnip mode on.
Okay, so let's do some more stuff. Let's add. So you can use these everys, these sort of subdivisions of the song, to combine with AND gates. So for example,
Thanks, Ange.
Thank you,
see
Ange.
Ange.
Stream, say bye to Ange.
Bye, Ange. Stream producer. Now
Awesome.
getting Costa's filling in. Welcome, Costa.
Hello.
How you doing?
AKA Ange 2.
Yeah.
Hello. All right, so at the moment, like we have 2 and 3 and 5 of the entire timeline coming around, and then 2 and 3 and 5 of the bar coming around. But what if we want to have every second bar, every second entire loop, every third bar?
What if,
Well,
Bogdan?
we can then do a thing where like, okay, so every second bar and every third of those, and I can start ending these, and also do a thing where like, okay, plug the 3 into another 3, so like every third iteration of the third iteration of that thing. So I can start, it's complicated, but I can start cascading these, and like you end up with a lot of complexity basically. So this one can do a crazy effect like grain stretch, and this one can do a crazy effect like let's find something from the collection.
And while Bogdan's searching for something from the collection, you could also plug in like gameplay elements. So if you were using this track in a playable level, you could take like, is the character possessed or is the character low on health or something like that, and then you could wire into the elements of the music, so you can actually make the music change and evolve.
Yeah. So this will take a while for any of these effects to kick in. So it adds now variation over multiple cycles, basically, like quite a long period of time. I'm gonna take these drum kits.
Sorry, we're laughing that Costa promoted himself on this stream.
It's Costa time.
Of course he did. That's
Production value.
Oh my God, that's
Love you. Liam's here now. Hi, Liam.
brilliant.
Liam's time.
Now finally we got the melodic element coming in on a sort of very unpredictable trigger. So remember, like when I'm doing this live, I won't be stopping like this. I'll be going and adding more and more elements, basically. So the other thing I can do is that I was going to show, which I haven't done. So I haven't added this to this system yet. I have it in my other one. Is we can take one of these. So this is something I call a contain, which is just an empty timeline for me to put things on later. It's just for me to add things into as I play along, basically. But I can have a container. Let me first make sure that it's set up correctly so I can make it loop. So we can have a keyframe that slows this one down to half tempo.
What?
So this is like a sub tempo. So if why can't I make it exactly?
Get it exactly on 50. Oh,
Apparently I can't.
denied.
It's because of your master BPM.
Maybe. I mean, I can make it be like close, close enough. So now when I activate this keyframe, this will like become twice as slow, half as fast. But
science.
so okay, so this keyframe is going to be off by default, and in this container, I'm going to add some kind of melody or something, or some kind of rhythm. So we can start adding sub-tempo variation to the whole song. Where we have like I mean, the song's already kind of like
Are you
complicated.
going to rock
so
out the like sad piano that you were playing downstairs? You had some chords going on that was like. Siobhan was like, "Where's the depressing music?"
Oh no,
coming
someone
from?"
else made. Someone on the early access made that today.
Oh no way.
Yeah, it wasn't me.
Sad piano. I like it. Well done, sad piano man or woman.
Okay, let's just add a very simple sort of like whatever this is. Is that like a cowbell or something? I don't know. So. So now we have this kind of annoying sounding thing. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit. But we can now occasionally randomly switch that one to a lower tempo, so you get this overlapping tempo change. So what we can do is get a randomizer or a selector. You can also use a selector, but like get a randomizer, plug out of like every whatever this is. So that will be the randomize. So this will be activating the tempo change sometimes. So you'll see that. Oh, it's already changed. So now it's very unpredictable how it's going to play that particular rhythm. And the cool thing is I can perform into this as it's changing its tempo.
What?
And then it's like sort of unpredictable to me where it's going to record the notes, and that's kind of cool. Let's add some kind of like crazy donk or something.
Put a dunk on it. Okay, so in record mode, it's changing the time frame. That doesn't bug.
So I'll show you an example of how I use that for something else as well.
Did you have to fix that at some point, or did that just always work because you're a legend?
That's always been part of the design.
Wow.
Okay, so we have a dump here. Let's turn up the distortion on the dump. Okay, that's cool. Got some delay as well.
Always.
So now I'm going to record into that, and you'll see that the tempo changes as I perform. So it'll record it in a very sort of unpredictable way. The other level of like how you can add sort of effects and stuff. So what I'm trying to get at is like you can add effects, but also you can change the time scale of the whole performance and do sort of interesting structural changes, not just effects level changes. Which is something I didn't think Dreams could do very well when I started doing this, because when you look at other programming languages for live coding music, they have ways to change the pattern, and we're still missing some of those features. And this is kind of feeding into designing things in the future. But this is one way in which you can change the rhythm, is by changing tempo and stuff like that. But you can make effects apply globally. So for example, I can take a low-pass filter. And if I make this... Okay, so there's a button here which makes it positional. That means that within this range here, any sounds that go into that range will have a low-pass effect. And what the low-pass effect does, like I showed earlier, is it muffles the sound. But I can make this go global, so now everything in the scene will be muffled. All throughout all of the timelines that I've made, regardless of where they're hierarchically organized. So I can do a thing where like... Yeah, every third bar, I guess, we're going to have a global low-pass effect. This is going to be really sort of random sounding now, basically. But this is how I would end the performance, is like I really kind of wreck the whole thing. People tend to kind of shut. So the way people tend to end algorithms, or the way they used to, is like they would literally smash down their laptop lid, and the laptop would sort of freak out and make noise for a while, and that's the end, basically. Okay, let's see what this does. You get like a nice sort of big womp there, basically. See, on that particular iteration, because of the way the numbers have lined up, I got the grain stretch and the low pass at the same time. And it can take a long time for things to align, like the planets aligning, basically. It's like this big thing, where you get this unexpected effect of like, you've wired up all these things, and like 50 cycles later, all the prime numbers and sort of things have multiplied together, and they've added up to like all trigger at the same time. And you get this nice sort of thing.
Someone was asking if you can change the time signature mid-song, and I assume the answer is yes?
Yeah, but the thing is that won't... So if you've got a timeline, you can change the time signature from here. So this is the meter, and you can add 8 notes or quarter notes or 16 notes. But the thing is, it won't do anything to an existing performance, because you still have the same music data in it. So you can change the time signature, but it's not something that affects the recording.
Changes where the vowel lines are, but the notes stay where they are.
So if I was to change the time signature in this track, if I start playing it, you just get a visual change in like where the bar lines fall.
But if you wanted it to change the meter, you could, like Bogdan did earlier, you could change the speed of the overall thing. So if you wanted to suddenly go into triple time or something.
So check this out.
Okay.
So this is another thing I also do in the live thing. So you can have a keyframe.
Let's do it.
And what it does...
Keyframe's elite, by the way.
Okay, so I'm gonna make the keyframe move the playhead to this position.
What? You need keyframes in your life.
So now I can make it jump there every so many things, and you can use this to kind of like limit how far the song goes, so it'll have like a 7/8 sort of thing sometimes.
Yeah.
So for example, now I can use that to make this really janky. So I have to make it trigger only for a frame. Because if I trigger that keyframe, it's going to stay there forever, and it's never going to get out.
So this is actually a really useful general logic trick. So behold the... suppose you've got a signal coming in, maybe it's from the player entering a trigger zone, and you don't want it to be on all the time they're in there, you only want it when they go into the zone, or in this case we only want it when the every tour, or whatever it was, comes on. You want a pulse, you don't want it to stay on, so this is a good trick.
Exactly, so like now when the signal comes in, because remember these stay on for a whole bar or whatever, basically. Now this is gonna not stay on, but just give this keyframe a single impulse. And now you'll see it sort of, it'll keep tending to jump here.
Holy moly, that was fast. Hang on a second. Oh yeah.
Okay, come back. So now I've added a cycle, a really short cycle, and I can have a really, really short one actually coming out of this. I have to. So in my other system, I've already hooked up all these like signal manipulators. So it's going to take me a while.
Can you just tweak that signal manipulator? So don't be afraid of the signal manipulator. It is your friend. And you were so fast there. Okay. That he actually clicked on a preset that was called that one. Pulse on.
Oh, I thought you explained that. Sorry.
Well, I was saying that's what you can do with it, and then you're like.
Oh no, sorry. I thought Alex explained that. So sorry. I'm gonna start over. So when one of these things is activated, for example, on the 5th bar, for a whole bar, it'll be active. So if I was to plug that into my keyframe, it'll now just lock the playhead there, which means the playhead will never move, so we'll never get to increment any of the other counters. What this can do is it can take a continuous signal that kicks in and turn it into a single frame spike. So when we switch into the regime of this one, you'll get a single spike, and the keyframe will put the playhead in the right place, and then
stop.
It'll not do anything else, basically.
Yeah. Thank you.
So let me just plug. So for example, if I do this will be very interesting. It'll be a very, very short, jittery cycle. So it keeps jumping there, and I have to turn this on as well. So if you don't turn in the keyframe, if you don't keep changes on, it won't preserve the changes that the keyframe has made. So I have to turn that on as well. Now only sometimes it's like doing a glitchy jump, basically. So I'll use this to add glitchy sort of randomness. And again, I can combine that with AND gates and all of the everys and stuff to like sometimes do the glitchiness. Only every 3-1 jump to this place, blah, blah, blah.
That's going to mess with the dancers.
Well, they're used to it. So I think what we need is to make this extremely fast and aggressive.
This is not 4 to the floor, this is...
Okay, so that's the general idea of how I'm gonna do this live. Is I'm gonna be on stage and I'm gonna patch all of these wires. Hopefully, I'm gonna be doing this on a stage and not missing everything. So it takes a lot of practice. Like it's like a live performance, but the performance is in plugging these things and coming up with cool wirings on the fly. And I'll have a lot of things prepared to just choose from as I go along, and hopefully it will be cool. So actually maybe it's a good time to break for questions for a little bit. If anybody's got any questions from the stream.
But you can do visuals as well.
Okay, let's do some visuals actually.
So if you've got any questions for Bogdan, let us know while he puts some visuals
Okay,
in.
so in the other system I've made, I've already done a full VJ feature, which this doesn't have basically. So we're gonna try to do something similar. I think what I want to do first actually is I'm gonna add another melodic element to this, some kind of pad. How much time do we have?
17.3.
You got time.
Yeah.
Just take your
Enjoy.
time.
Scream of bees.
Can you trim an audio sample you import and save it trimmed? Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Yep.
That
Oh,
is-
yeah.
We've actually done it a couple times, I think, on the
Stream today.
stream already.
Yeah,
Yep.
including Alex Wave.
I was asking how long it took us to get used to the motion controls, which is really interesting because I think that'll be really different for every single person.
So in my case, obviously I'm using the motion controls. Like I've learned them to the point that I can be on a stage and like pinpoint accuracy, plug wires out of things into other things. So you can get really used to the motion controls.
Yeah.
I never find that in fact
It's
I don't.
definitely a journey. Don't be
Yeah.
disheartened if day one you pick up Dreams and you're just like, oh, I can't do it, because there were a few stories, weren't there, during the beta trial, where people were like, I can't do this, controller throw, and then like 3 days later they're like, I can do it, it's amazing, tears of
Yeah,
joy.
exactly. Like
and
don't
so,
have a
many things
gut
are like
reaction.
That, though. Like, I
Yeah.
can touch type until we got the internet. And
I
then
still
all of
can't
a sudden I
touch
could just touch type in like an instant.
So I mean, let me put it this way: like if I had
That was a long time ago.
if I had to use the sticks to go aim at this thing and plug it into this
Before
thing,
you were
it would take me a
born.
long time.
yeah.
So actually, this motion control stuff, once you've got it
Is
down, is
good.
actually very powerful. Like a lot of thought has gone into where stuff is placed on screen, how things connect. Like it takes it a little bit to get used to, because obviously it's not a control scheme that's been used in many games.
Give it a number of days. How many days before you became elite?
I mean, I was immediately elite, but but I had Anton to help with that. So.
That was immediately.
When did you come online?
Okay,
Oh.
let's just
Love it.
not answer that question.
You're all about the short
All right,
release times.
we're gonna add Hoovers to this one.
So sad.
So okay, so I'm gonna add this, and then we're gonna do some visuals. I'm gonna do it quickly as well because I don't really have much time. But let's have a melody going on.
You have all the time you need. I think what we have left in the stream, Ed and John are supposed to come back and show us this twin stick shooter that they've been working on today. But they missed their check-in, so we have no idea what to expect.
Oh yeah, rave,
Oh, no.
rave stabs.
Lisa, can you turn me up a little bit, please?
Not.
Okay.
Yeah,
Turn it
not
to
really,
11.
Unfortunately.
Okay. fine.
We're
It's very
11.
fine.
Okay,
Okay, no, it's fine. I
So
think
yeah, then people just can't talk while you're playing music.
I just realized I had a headphone off, actually not on my ear. So. All right, I'm gonna add some like very sort of cheesy rave stabs. Oh, it's so cheesy. I'm not, maybe not actually.
No, it's good. Keep it.
I think I'm in the wrong key as well. So. Okay, I want it to be dark because that's my mood. Okay, that'll do. We didn't hear it just then because the effects kicked in. Ooh, yeah. Okay, so we're only going to have that melody every second timeline loop. So now we're going to add the Pomeranian again. Where's the palm?
I didn't see that coming. Just
That's a twist.
yeah, twist.
Wow, okay.
Why is it a
It just
multi-palm?
got
No,
weird
no,
earlier, that's all.
I'm gonna
Mount-
take that palm
Mount
from there.
Pommel.
It's Mount Roughmore.
Mount Roughmore.
Roughmore.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
that's a good one.
Okay, so
We
this is
also
going to
have
be...
a palm in a sports car.
Can you make the
and-
eyeballs like pulsate? Oh, every sound
Yeah.
has a volume
Oh, wait.
output.
Okay, so we're going to do some very interesting stuff.
Bogdan,
with
get the
this.
one that's made of smaller palms. It's like a palm made out of small
that's-
palm faces.
Okay, that's weird, though.
Yeah,
that was the
I mean,
perfect palm,
what-
man.
it's down in the bottom
That's
corner
weird though,
here.
'cause your music is.
Which one is it?
Yeah, it's all of those. I think if you go down a little
Oh.
further and look at the little ones, they've got tails made out of, and their heads are made out of more palm heads.
Okay,
Thanks,
cool.
Mark.
This all makes sense if you've been watching
Just
all
what we need.
9 hours of the stream so far.
Which, if you've achieved that, I don't know what's happened to you at this point.
I mean,
That
exactly what's
describes
happened to us, I
some
think.
of
Oh,
us
it's
on
got a
the
tongue
stream.
animation. Actually,
Oh yeah, head bob.
Let's because we're gonna add our own things to this.
Can you do
So
the
to
head,
actually-
Angry.
head bob is so good.
So it took me a while to do the video stuff. I came in on this Sunday and did it. So I'm gonna try to do something similar. But so what I have in my actual set is I sculpted a goat's head, and it's kind of dancing around in the background. It's as big as a mountain basically. So it's like looming around there.
That sounds terrifying.
It's really cool. So let's have that there.
So this is like the friendly
But you're
version.
replacing it with the palm now.
Yeah, it's basically the same thing but with Palm. So I'm gonna have a microchip over here, which is gonna be called a VJ chip.
Got to name your microchips, people,
Yeah, please.
for the sake of QA.
For the sake of QA.
Alright, so we can do a bunch of stuff. The first thing that's really easy to do is obviously like skies and grades are very easy to mess around with from Logic. So those are the sort of like very cheesy big bang for buck things. So I can have grade and effects, and I can have sky. So we can have, for example, a grade effect, which
Stereo
does
for like a
that,
couple of
and then
seconds,
it
and starts to
pixelates the
sink
whole
in
thing
what
like
you're
that.
looking at. Big
Maybe
old
it makes it
bomb.
really bright.
Pixel bomb.
Pixel palm.
Low res
Okay, so,
palm.
so that's one of the effects we can trigger from our Logic. Okay, let's do another effect. This one's gonna be videos and sort of posterize and chromatic aberration, scan lines, sort of like, yeah, that's cool. We can also make it sort of, what else should we do? Grain, ultra bloom and lens flare and stuff.
Brighter, make the like overall brightness higher.
Whoa.
Yeah, you know, so we're gonna change the sky color as well with some of these grades.
Such a good laugh, Lisa.
Sorry. Sorry.
Let's have another
No
effect.
palms
This
or
is gonna
harmed
be
in the
like
making
If
of.
you're just joining us, I don't even
Yeah,
have
no, I
an
don't
explanation.
think-
I've run out of
Rainbow palm.
explanations.
Yeah.
super
Oh,
saturated.
wow, that's amazing.
Jeff Minter mode engage.
Someone in the chat says one thing they found unexpectedly fun during the beta was organising microchips and wires. So fun and soothing.
It is soothing.
It is.
It is. It's the ASMR of dreams. It's-
Ah,
Tom happy
I don't know if
about
you've seen this
that.
actually, but
Soothing,
like
I don't know if
if you
it's
press
You are a champion.
if you press cross on a wire on a chip, you can actually like add
Yeah.
sort of like
Oh.
So
arrangement.
satisfying.
Who made that? Was that Mark Adami? All hail the Adami.
Yeah.
All
Adami
hell.
magic.
All hell.
That's the-
Yeah. Leap.
Is that your word of the day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard this internet thing.
Trying to be
It's very
younger.
much.
Also-
Do you know how it's spelled?
Meme.
Yeah.
It's spelled.
Spelled meme.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just still jamming with visuals.
Yeah, but it's
Um,
good.
Can you
enjoy
get
yourself.
black palms, Costa?
Is that
Gus is
genetic?
here for all
Are
your
they-
palm facts.
For all, yeah, I was,
Are black palms like good? Are they?
they're like bad luck.
Are they rare? Are they?
Like rare breed.
How many have you seen?
I think I've seen one.
Okay, so
Alright,
they're rare.
let's do some
They look like
skies as well.
mess.
So the
Yeah, I can
default
imagine they do. Yeah.
sky is going to be like a black sky.
Mad.
All right, we've got a black sky by default, so it's going to be really dark. Why is it fully dark?
Your brightness is still.
I think I have another
Oh,
sky.
someone's seen a black palm in the chat.
Ah, so an
Not in the chat. there's a
interesting.
black palm.
Your best friends.
Yeah.
You got two skies switched on right there.
Where's another
In
sky?
that microchip.
Oh, sorry, that's another sky.
So that's actually a little good tip there. Sky, sun. There are some gadgets, sun and sky, grade. Basically, the ones I wrote. Sorry. If you have multiple of them switched on at the same time,
They blend.
They blend. So in other words, if you're trying to say be a red sky, be a green sky, it kind of goes brown sky. So yeah, so that was why Bogdan was like, why is my sky not black?
I am actually gonna blend
That's
sky
terrifying.
colors and
That's
stuff.
true. Like you can only just see it in the darkness. Like
In the dark,
It's
a
just-
palm.
It's like
Yeah.
this level. Can you put a big
Yeah.
backlight behind the pom? So get like a massive spotlight behind the pom, really like insanely
Well,
bright.
we can also turn that up from Logic, actually, potentially.
Yeah, just make it massive and bright and insane. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's so
That's
tiny.
really far now.
So
I can slingshot myself based on the palm.
I like that this palm was born out of John Beach just like being on the sofa and like, what should we make?
Well,
It's
and
had
Costa
emojis.
joined it at the point to produce, and
Yeah.
you know,
That's what
you have to make a
spawned
palm
this.
for Costa. That
Yeah.
that tail light really highlights the.
But I liked it around the side
Horrifying
of it
tail
actually. It was
this
good.
thing
Like big,
has.
pull it around to 10. I don't know.
Oh my
Do your thing,
God.
man.
That is horrifying.
This is so much.
What is going on?
Well, it's made
needs to
of
be like-
obviously it's made of smaller
That is
palms.
That's a John Beach special. cloning, rotating, resizing.
Well,
This is actually Mark.
As we all know, the easiest way to optimize your levels is to reuse the same sculpts. So I mean, this is
all right. Here's what we're gonna do.
Handy dreams
So we're gonna have
make your palms out of more palms.
Yeah, duplicate
a
the palm.
keyframe that moves the palm really close like this, and it's like looking up.
Oh my god.
Another keyframe. So basically, what I would do for the show is that I have a lot of these things prepared, and I can just reuse them later, basically.
It's not animating.
That's a
It's ponimation.
It is an abomination.
Nice.
So I can have the 2 keyframes there. I can have another keyframe that like makes the palm glow.
In fact, we should just do running commentary while Bogdan just works.
Yeah.
Like, work it, Bogdan. Or
That's the palm glow one. Is that the one?
Make its eyes glow red, or is that too cheesy?
yes.
We can do that.
Can they shoot lasers?
Nice naming of your gadgets. Good work.
Yeah, because I'll forget what it is basically.
Naming your gadgets. You can color them as well. Coloring gadgets is great too. Do that.
Is that also helpful for you, Tom?
I don't test the content that much anymore, but when I used to.
That's what I had in mind.
I like Lisa just like instantly laughing.
So my first like.
Bogdan,
I don't know.
I know the answer to this question. It's just whether you'll do it. But can you make the tongue wag in time with the beat?
Yeah, do it now.
Yeah,
gotta
totally.
do that.
Yeah,
Do it now.
Let's do that.
Important.
Everyone agrees. That's
Gotta
what
do
he
that.
Was that a stream thing or an Abby thing?
No, that is an Abby thing.
Okay, Abby, nice work.
Thank you. It's the nicest thing you've ever said to me, Alex.
So, oops.
A waggly tongue is a.
Just moves.
Oh, what is happening?
So
Right now.
one there.
So there's keyframing. Wag it. Mm-hmm.
Left to right, right?
I mean,
Uh,
is that the way Pom's tongue goes?
yeah.
Yeah.
Costa?
Yeah. What is the
So,
proper
I'll
rotation
explain-
for a palm tongue?
Let me explain what I've just done. So the tongue.
Clockwise.
Oh
What?
yeah, they were saying they were saying,
There's no way that's true.
Yeah, earlier in Animal
Palms
Facts was
can
given to
only-
us. They was getting anti-clockwise.
Is that to the beat? I can't tell.
It's very fast, so I don't know,
That's amazing.
but it's something. But check this out. So let's say now that I'll do something basic. So like I have the paprika kit over
So
here.
basic.
So basic.
We can take, okay, so every sound has an envelope output, and what this is when a sound plays, you can measure how loud it is at any given moment, and use that to drive logic. So I can use that to do the eye glow, for example. Okay, so actually so maybe the drums aren't loud enough, so I'd have to use a remapper to do it, but I can still use the
Trigger
playing
out.
thing to do that, so it's like...
Oh.
I'm gonna do a couple more
Sleep well
things.
tonight, everyone.
So for example, you remember like there's a thing here that turns on a low pass filter. So that's quite a dramatic effect, and if I trigger a visual effect at the same time as the low pass filter, the audience will notice that basically because it's a combination of visuals and audio. So
Can you
take
plug
a-
the eyes into something rarer, like the chord stabs?
Yeah, I won't do the ice thing for now.
But I do it.
I
But do it
just
on
wanted to
something
give
that
an
happens
example.
every
of
now
that,
and then,
basically.
like the melody or the.
Yeah, I will do. So now we should be able to get an effect where, like, when the big low pass or the muffle effect kicks in, you'll get a big sky change as well. Take a while. Just want to kick in. Okay, so the other thing I did in my performance is I had a lot of goats.
Oh no.
Oh my god.
So and those goats are like
This is what PlayStation's power is for.
so. Okay, so this is going to be invisible by default, and they only appear sometimes, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So I can kick in like, oh no, there's so many Pomeranians now, basically mode.
Oh no.
You're making Costa's dream. He's so happy.
I'm so glad this game is out.
Can you
Okay.
name the keyframe? Oh no, there's so many Pomeranians.
Yeah.
That's-
Okay, so basically this keyframe turns on the palms.
Stuck.
Turns on the palm.
Cool. So now they're going to be off by default. So the audience will be surprised by like how many palms there are suddenly.
So
So like
I'm sure they will.
only every 3 entire cycles.
Too many pulls.
So every 3 entire cycles of the
Did you remember
song,
that bit when there was two?
that will happen basically, and then we can start doing sort of other things as well. I don't know.
Did you have other skies going on?
Yeah, I'll trigger some of these effects for now, and we'll see what happens.
You
I
have
mean,
no idea what's happening, do you?
no, but the thing is, all of these things I've plugged into sound, so you should be able to hear an audible effect along with the palms, basically.
No, because Jake was face at it. Oh no, there's so many palms now basically mode.
Oh no.
Get that trend in.
So after a while, all the palms will appear as well, and it'll be really cool.
Yeah, wait for it.
It'll take 3 cycles, I think, or something for them to come up.
That's when the do warm is when the eyes should go, man.
Yeah.
We're all just concentrating so
We're
hard
waiting.
to the bomb.
Multi-pom, where are you?
Wait.
I don't know, I think it takes a while to come in.
Is this it?
Oh, I feel like it should have appeared by now. Did I like...
Oh, they're only coming on
Oh
for
wait, no,
free.
apparently I've done something wrong. Hold on.
Oh.
Oh no, we're gonna have to watch it again. Bring
Can
it.
you put that? Can it do?
No, it'll happen really quickly. Hold on, I want to make sure I've animated the right thing. Why are they not appearing? Did I just...
Oh no.
Actually, I want to have... Yeah, sorry. So I want to have them visible, but not powered on by default. So you can power sculpts on and off. And it's kind of like visibility, but also turns off physics and stuff, basically. So actually, the keyframe will now turn on the entire Pomeranian, basically, not just the visibility.
Well, there's just too many bombs.
What's the low pitched output? The one which is the low pass global filter. Please put it on the iGlow.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
wait, so you want to have...
the
So
iGlow has to
this
have
one
it.
that
The one,
triggers...
the one that's really drastic. It goes warm.
Really.
So good, yeah. No, I've been,
what's
I just couldn't stay away any longer.
Right.
Right, I should have organized his wires better. Okay, this one.
Yeah, put that into the iGlow and then crank the iGlow more.
So I think I named it iGlow. So
Insufficient iGlow. More glowier.
What a big disaster.
Okay.
So now I was gonna add one more thing. In my performance, I have a bunch of stuff in the far background as well, and they're a bunch of glowy, sort of spooky cylinders, basically. They're just very abstract and they're cool. So I'm gonna make a cylinder and I'm gonna use the stretch tool in the sculpt mode and make them very, very tall.
Oh, nice flick. Nice dual shock flick there.
Okay. So,
Oh,
okay, so this
The work of a pro.
particular cylinder thing is going to be some kind of like horrifying abstract
neon demon.
mathematical entity in the background there.
Mathematical. Oh, it's a mathematical.
Um,
From another realm.
Thing. Yeah. Make
Okay,
it
so-
slightly off white.
no, so I'll
Aye.
show you a thing in a second.
Oh my God.
Off-white.
Just a teeny bit, not
Like
a
that.
lot. Yeah.
So what I want to do is I want to have a keyframe. So by default it'll
Chef
have
kiss.
no glow. Actually, no. Sorry. I think what I did was like I'm powering them off by default, and then I have a keyframe that just like the multi-palm thing. I can power it on like that. So now we can take the chord stabs that I did earlier, and like make the cylinders appear only then. But what I also want to do is I want to make them be a little bit shorter, so you can see the cylinders sort of kick in. So the notes will be a bit shorter now. So I can then take the Swarm of Bees instrument from here. Take the is playing. So this actually gives you like whether any note is playing, and plug that into the
Geometrical object entity.
I think I call it cell in mine. But it's not just a single cylinder. That's the cool thing.
Of course not.
Okay, so I'm going to turn on what's called studio lighting so I can see what I'm doing because it's a bit dark now. So I'm going to turn off visibility
eyes.
preview. And I'm going to take the cylinders and on the grid, clone them so they're like a grid.
Okay. I feel like the pom's eyes should pulse a bit as well.
All right, let's see what it looks like now.
Oh no, here we go again.
Oh wait, did I make them?
They're always.
Where are they? Like, oh, did I have visibility still turned on? Yeah, sorry, forgot about that.
There we
So
go.
one thing to keep in mind actually is like at no point do I go into play mode. So the visuals are always happening in the background of the actual logic work that I'm doing. So oftentimes at algorithms, what they'll do is they'll have code on screen and they'll have a transparent code editor, so you'll be able to see fractals and stuff behind, basically.
But we have poms. These fractals.
Yeah.
Oh,
Here come the cylinders.
When does multi-pump? Oh, there we go, multi-pump.
oh no, there's too many.
Can you close some slockables?
Yeah,
Basically.
Close some slockables just so we can appreciate that pomage.
So hold on, there's one thing I need to do
Okay.
because I also have the little animations and stuff which I haven't actually used because the palm animations basically.
Are you starting to think that you should have had Poms for your, or are you going to stay with Ghosts?
How's the feed? Are they with us?
Very true.
Are the people with us?
Yeah, yeah.
They're all
We've
for
not
it.
lost our entire audience.
No. Okay. Good.
Is this good? I don't know.
I
Someone
didn't.
says they
This
have,
is
they have-
amazing.
This is
they have to get
incredible.
up, but they don't want to miss peak Pom.
I just really want to find a way for us to do this performance in Guildford so we can all.
The boiler room.
Not
Pom
exactly the
out.
boiler room. Maybe we need to hire out the boiler room and have a algo rave.
Well, we have this. We have
Yes.
the GDC performance. We have. I mean, like we can.
We should do it.
We're
We're set.
Done.
Oh, there we go.
This song really makes
Oh
it
my
really.
god, the eyes.
There they are.
Okay, I haven't hooked up the melody to anything yet, basically. I should have done that as well.
Well, what should we set up to? By we, I mean. Boggwave.
Well, I mean, we can, I don't know, what should we do? I guess.
Eyeball size.
No, how about like nose glow and size?
Okay.
Can I do that? Let's make a keyframe.
Let's. So keyframes are basically anything you do in the editor is recorded into that keyframe. So you can use any tool. You can make stuff glow, move stuff. What else can you do? Change tweaks. Basically anything you can normally do. And then whenever that keyframe gets power, it does that thing for you. So it's like a little helper that will recreate your red giant nose.
Yeah, so now this keyframe here,
Is red giant nose.
we'll call it nose for short.
Or nz.
So we can
So
do this, so
millennial.
like it's triggered by the little melody that we have, which only plays every other sort of cycle. Where did I put it? It's in a different container thing. Soft tape sign. Get the envelope maybe, plug it into the...
It's quite quiet.
I don't know if this is... we'll see.
Subtle.
Subtle giant red glowing nose.
Yeah. I love the cylinders, it's my favorite thing. I don't know if the nose didn't it kind of worked, but you couldn't really see anything because it was so dark. Anyway.
Publish it.
Have we had the multi sort of...
Aether just got into the chat and is confused.
Here we go, yes.
Just accept it. Just accept it.
Okay, so what you need to understand is, like, obviously if I publish this now, it'll be the song at full blast. But if you had watched this live on stage, it will have gone from like me building up just the bass line and then everything else. So that's the song. And at the end, I can do something interesting, like, so the song is going along, and suddenly I hit turnip mode, and now we're like really slow. And I can start sort of like adding global grain stretch effects and stuff and really sort of...
Just degrading it.
So why is turnip mode slow?
Because it's
Turnips,
They're slow.
they move so slowly.
You ever seen a turnip run?
Such a silly question, Tom.
Scramble the whole thing. This is my simulation of someone like smashing their laptop screen.
Can you undo this? Because I really want the people to get the unmolested version of
Yeah.
this.
Okay, cool. I'll undo that. It's
extreme
just an
hum.
effect field, so I can turn that off.
Still in control.
Nice,
Somewhere else.
nice.
But I mean, obviously, this system has been tailored for me, so like I have spent a lot of time using this.
This is a window into
You
your
would,
psyche.
and actually, what I would need to do is I'll remix this so you can get this full song. You still have the one I've just published, which is the nothing in it
Empty
yet,
one.
basically.
No, but the people want the poems, surely.
Yeah, so I'll remix this. Can we remix this?
It's already remixed. Remix.
I remixed it when I did it. Yeah, okay, cool. So I can make it cool, something like.
What is this?
Yeah, how do you define this?
Yeah, what should we call this? Is there any audience?
Okay, let's do a stream name the pom game.
Name the Pom game. Okay, so you have to now name this thing.
Yes, name it.
Pomeravian?
Oh, can we do it one letter by letter?
Pomeravian.
That's pretty good.
Hey, pom. How about one letter at a time?
Well, you can move the whole keyboard with the right stick. What?
What?
I didn't know that.
Words, stay land.
Oh
Well,
my
look
God.
at this. This is my algorithm.
Just the PSN
Wait,
keyboard.
what?
Yeah, that is no. I didn't know that. That's
Yeah,
I-
I've discovered.
I did not know
that's
that.
new.
That's-
Pomeravian.
that
Oh
must
no,
be
I'll rename it in a
That's
second.
not new.
Abomination.
That's been in for...
Oh, the picture's perfect.
A
already.
combination is good.
Yes, look at that.
Abomination.
coming out of the screen.
Pompocalypse.
All right, Pomerave, go
Oh my
remix,
God.
enjoy, have fun.
All right, so is there any more time, or are we done?
Go.
I was
Keep going,
gonna show one more technique for
Yeah, you do that, man.
just another thing I discovered in sort of the process of making algorithmic. And this is more on the ambient, sort of non-rhythmic, non-drum and bass side, basically. And that is that, given a timeline, which just plays forwards like this, you can plug anything into its playhead. So, for example, I can have a signal generator from here. This generates a sine wave going up and down. So you'll actually see it here. That's what this outputs, this signal. And if I plug the output into the playhead here, now it does this.
Oh, work.
So it's no longer, the timeline's no longer playing itself, it's being driven by this thing. But with a signal generator, because Alex is awesome,
I didn't know this is Matt.
you can randomize.
This is Matt.
Okay. Well, Matt is awesome.
Yes.
You can randomize. Okay, so the signal generator will go 0 to 1 in the normal case.
Yeah.
But you can randomize what it goes up to and what it goes down to, so it'll have a sort of unpredictable cycle. So, for example, I can make it now go a little bit back and forth, but not always to the end, not always to the beginning, unpredictably.
Nice.
It doesn't always ring around the center or anything. I think that was a bit of a fluke. And you can also randomize a pause. So when it gets to a certain point, it'll have like a little pause. It stays there, and then it comes back, and then it goes there.
That's pretty cool.
And you can do that, and that's really cool because just get it working like I had it before. 'Cause I quite...
And by the way, this is a technique what you discovered this week?
Yeah, it's me trying to discover other ways to like sort of do stuff where I perform and it unpredictably records what I do. So it's a bit like a surprise to me what it's done as well.
So we're still learning Dreams, and you guys and girls will be learning too. Show us your craziest techniques.
So now that I've got this moving back and forth, I can stick an instrument in here. Say,
Spooky presents.
where was it?
Middle.
Yeah, so remember, like, this is now moving the playhead back and forth, but unlike in any audio workstation you've ever used, it's not just going forwards, it's going all over the place. So I can record to an all over the place playhead.
What?
And it'll record, and we'll end up with something quite ambient and sort of like unpredictably shifting, and it needs lots of reverb as well. So this is not rhythmic; it's very sort of ambient, basically. We've already got a little sort of thing. It's going to go back and forth and sort of loop over some of those things. Sometimes come back and unpredictably do another noise that might go back or not. We don't
Maybe
know.
have one more note in or something.
But it's cool because over a long period of time, you'll get a big ambient sort of composition evolving. Let's have FM sequence as well. And I like making it sort of like, I can tell where the playhead is, so I can decide what to put at that position. But then I won't know what order it'll play it back in. So that's the cool part. So at the moment it's kind of stuck around there, and I'm gonna keep it to like low notes on the left side, and like higher notes on the right side of the timeline. So now it's already kind of playing itself in a way that I didn't really intend. And let's add some more things in here as well. Let's add some, actually let's add some ambiences, just some sound effects. So this is actually a little bit like tape music. I don't know if anyone's ever seen that genre of like, you take a tape machine, put a tape around it, it's very short, and you keep recording onto it over and over again, and you get unpredictable sort of layering. This is like that, but it's more unpredictable. And we can put an ambience in here, like...
Dude, that's so cool. Never saw that before.
Okay, so weather is a nice one to have because it's very relaxing. Especially the sound of being in a sort of plastic...
Bag.
Yeah.
What?
It's very nostalgic sounding sort of sound.
Pre-funky.
And on the left side we can have a different sort of thing that's like... Do we have a vinyl noise somewhere?
Are we gonna make these?
It's an instrument. It's in the sample. Yeah. Up.
Cool, that's what I want. So
Vinyl crackle. Everyone needs the vinyl crackle.
I'm going to take this and make it into an instrument, so it's just like a little bit of crackling on the left side.
Are you
So
going to
now-
give these? Have you given them fades? Hang on, that was so fast.
Yeah, so, sorry, I went really fast. So basically all of these have fades. So the playhead's scrolling across, but I made the rain on plastic thing have a fade, so it's going to slowly, potentially fade in this way. Slowly, potentially rain on wood this way. and the vinyl is also only at the beginning here. Let's see what this sounds like. So you get a sort of nice ambient loop that like
I've got to hear
involves
this.
itself.
Sorry, people.
It's not very interesting yet because there's only got 2 instruments, but
Science.
At the risk of sounding about 3, what's vinyl crackle?
No, no.
Get out.
You are 3.
Tom, I got you there. Is it just the is as in the crackle that you hear on?
yeah, it's just like if you had a vinyl and it's not actually. Actually, I don't even know. It's a nostalgic sound
It's just like dirt
that
and
everyone
dust.
knows is
Yeah,
nostalgic.
It's picked up by the needle.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never had a vinyl player either, so.
I think you broke Alex.
Gen Z millennial
Um,
bastards.
I think.
Yeah, I own vinyl.
Yeah, I own. Yeah, yeah.
There are these
play it,
things
but I
that
was
came
like-
before cassette tapes.
What? Yes.
I don't
Those
have
came
any.
before
Yeah, he's gonna ask
CDs.
what a
I don't
cassette
have any
tape is.
CDs.
though.
Yeah, those-
What do you?
Okay. Kind of like an MP3,
My brother
but made
wanted
out
all
of
of my
plastic.
cassette tapes because he thought that they were like retro, and that they were in. He told me cassette tapes were really in.
Yeah.
I've been told cassette tapes.
Had a
are
lot
in.
of them non-ironically.
They are in.
I did hear they were making a comeback.
Should have recorded it. Natural ambiences.
Siren
It's
is
not too
adding
late.
to the
I
ambient.
know.
Too late.
Missed
there you
it.
go. So now we have a bit of piano as well. And it'll eventually play this little melody I've recorded here when it feels like it, basically.
Come on.
We've got some nice chilled out piano and some rain. So this is like the nostalgic childhood region, basically, over here.
And you could link this
Yeah.
to the Pomeranian level with a doorway.
Oh. So yeah.
Oh,
So actually, so the next step is I didn't do it in the same level, but even though I've wired the playhead this way, I could have still had that every sort of system on the right, and then I can start bringing in different loops sometimes. And before you know it, you've got like an algorithmic sort of ambient piece where you've kind of layered things non-rhythmically,
Yeah.
and it still evolves over a long period of
You
time.
have a nice
and-
little warm, subby layer to it.
Yeah, let's do that.
Someone was looking for where to find the microchip. If you just want to show in the menu, really.
So the
quick.
microchip is in the components menu, gadgets menu, sorry. In the logic and processing section, the yellow one. And this is the microchip here. I kind of actually do agree that it's a bit hidden, so maybe that's good feedback. So that's a microchip.
Nice.
Nice.
Sub.
I'm going to use one of these to actually fade out because I don't want... Maybe I should explain how effect fields work in a second as well for this time. So this is now... I go in and out of here. You might not hear this unless you have bassy headphones, but this is like a sub bass layer basically. And I'll try to only... I'll have to wait until it decides to go to the second half, and then I'll add some sub bass there basically. Should we have something else as well?
There's one called The Warmth.
I feel like that's, you know, it can be minimal. So like this is a perfectly good example of like, so once you've done this, stick this in a microchip. So put together the timeline and your control logic, and now you can literally publish this, and anyone can put this in their level, and it's a song like any other song that you can just tamp down.
Do it.
I'll publish this as well.
Okay, stream, get ready to name this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what do
your
we call this?
best naming. I've
Do you-
forgotten the words.
do you
I
wanna
was
add one
gonna
more
say.
le- well-
Best naming.
Best name.
While they name it,
Just
why do you add one more
Do it,
layer,
yeah.
or is it perfect?
It's perfect.
It's perfect.
It is perfect. That's
Some of these things, it's fine for them to be minimal. They don't have to be complicated, basically. So it's a
Sounds of serenity.
Sounds
okay.
of serenity. It is.
Call it what is
Millennial
vinyl.
dreams.
Call it
Someone
what
said
is vinyl.
What is vinyl? What is vinyl?
It is a very like it's a very like ontological
Sounds of
sort of
serenity.
like thing.
Brackets. What is vinyl?
Song number 157.
I knew what vinyl
Feet-
was.
No,
I
you
just had
didn't.
to-
No. Okay.
I was like,
so I'll publish
what's the
this.
crackle? I don't.
What the?
I really liked what is vinyl for the record.
For the record.
Nice.
For a record, oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, that was really good. Yeah.
Record some audio preview.
Just can't turn it off.
So the cool thing is, every time you play this, it'll sound different. It'll never be the same performance
That's a cool
because all I've recorded is the source material, but the game is not reinterpreting my composition in an interesting way. Let's go to the source and publish this so that everyone can have it.
As a last thing, could you try connecting instead of a signal generator, connect it directly to one of the analog sticks
Oh yeah, sure.
Just so that we can sort of have
So-
an interactive version.
So anything, I'll make a remix so we can do a different version of it. So yeah, so basically this wire that goes from the signal thing into the playhead, it doesn't have to be a signal manipulator, a signal generator rather, sorry. It can be any signal you want. Like anything you've generated, anything you've created, you can plug into the playhead. So you can have very, very strange maths controlling this. But what Alex wanted to do is the controlinator that we use to drive characters.
Yeah.
You can also easily use it to drive your music, and then you've basically made a playable instrument.
Maybe put it through a remapper, not doing anything yet, but then we can put some smoothing on it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So we can use a signal manipulator. I'll show you what that does in a second. By default, it'll do nothing, so I'll come back to that in a moment. But let's make R2, so the right trigger. Go into there, and then this will be the thing that controls the playhead. I'm going to make the controller sensor not need to be possessed, so it's going to work as a remote control. Then I can do it in edit mode as well. So like if normally it's set to possessable, so I'd have to possess a thing to be able to then press R2. But if you set this thing to remote controllable, then like it always works. So now if I hit play, it'll be stuck there at the beginning doing nothing. And then if I start pressing down R2, I can now use R2 to play this effectively. Like you can replay my performance in your own sort of order.
So hold it up to the camera if people see he's like R2ing, I don't know if you can see that. But he's literally pulling the trigger to move that playhead and trigger those sounds.
So what Alex wanted to do is this signal manipulator, you can add smoothing. So you can add a little bit of like smoothing so that it doesn't immediately just go up. So the jitteriness in my finger action is going to be reduced basically. So now it's like very smooth. If I let go, it falls off slowly. And actually, maybe you want it to be higher actually. That's cool. And I think we can actually record that as well, potentially.
Ooh. Yeah.
I think we actually do need to possess something in that case, though. I don't know. Let's try. I don't know if it'll work, but it's worth trying. Let's put a controller sensor on that.
Possess the
That's
cube.
possessable. And I think we can use action recorders to actually record that now. Maybe. I think it has to be a puppet.
Record
but
possession, surely.
yeah, but I think it might need to be a puppet, but we'll find out. Sorry, all the UR's gone away because it's recording, but I'll just pretend it's still there. So let go of R2. It's very expressive, like I can replay this with my controller. Okay, so I'm done. So hopefully that's
you could
recorded.
make that a game. Like, I think people will probably load into this level and just enjoy
So
just
there you go.
playing the trigger.
So now when I play it back, all of my performance has been recorded into this gadget here. So it's playing that back basically. So I've just recorded the song again by driving the R2 input into the timeline. And actually, now I don't need this cube anymore. Let me just put this in here. So now we have a nice recording. I'm going to turn that off by default. I'm going to publish this, but if you turn this on, it'll automatically drive it basically. But by default, you'll have to press R2. Cool. So we publish this as well.
What is vinyl?
What is vinyl?
What is vinyl?
Yes.
Is this a remix?
Yeah, maybe you should call it Sounds of Serenity playable actually, just so people know what it is.
What is vinyl?
Lame.
Brackets, what is vinyl?
It's the same thing as the other one. It's just like performable.
Yes, but now it has the title we requested.
Listen, Bogdan.
Whoa,
Nope,
no.
nope.
Nah. I always get it
Well,
wrong.
no, yeah.
Vinyl.
What is vinyl? Is it a kind of yogurt?
I'm gonna show you another thing if there's time. Is there time? I had one.
Do you
had-
still all in
I'm not
a
gonna
jam
stop
with
you.
I had one more thing on my list of things to demonstrate.
Guess not.
Sorry?
Do you still want us to jam with you or not?
Yeah, sure.
That's what we were here for.
It's really convincing.
You asked us to come up.
Well, it's mostly.
Invited us.
The audio team are here waiting
Yeah,
patiently.
they've been-
Can we have a go?
Please,
Dad,
Bogdan, please.
can we have a go, please?
All right. Okay.
One
How
more
should
thing
we?
and then we jam.
How should we jam then? Let's do it.
Well, what did you want to show?
And you know what? Actually, Lisa and Ollie oftentimes jam together, so maybe I should just pass it.
Yeah,
on to them.
maybe a Lisa Ollie jam.
So Lisa and Ollie
You
get
come in
together
and then
all the
do
time.
your thing to it, and then it's different. It's
All right.
really
Do you want to
different.
just like
Yeah, should
get
we
in
start
there?
something off?
I'm gonna get out of here.
Tag in.
Yeah, let's jump in.
Sorry, microphone.
Well done, Bogdan.
Yeah, that was
good.
amazing.
That was good stuff.
Thank you, Bogdan.
No worries.
Yep.
Ooh.
Okay. Can actually hear it now.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
my own voice.
Do you want to come in?
Are they better?
I mean, I kind of like sitting on a chair.
Yeah, hop in.
If anyone wants a mono, do you want to listen?
Is it mono?
It's only
Do you
coming
not
out
need
the
it as
left.
well?
No, I have a third one.
I'll take bad stereo.
Oh, there's not much. It's a bit short, but okay. This is moving the whole mixing desk over.
So is there any plan, or we just
You
going
start,
for it?
and then
Yeah.
we could do like a timer or something.
John Beach is here. And Eddie Hargrave.
Oh, is there time?
Oh, here we go.
Oh,
Lads. Why, lads?
This is busy.
It is, isn't it?
There's always room for you. Also, we have this other camera over here where we can add people in.
Okay, sure. Is this like the green room waiting?
This is
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the
yeah,
waiting area. We're gonna reset up the
If
camera
you need
shot
to
here.
have
then they're gonna
a
sit here
sugar
waiting.
hit,
Roosevelt, will you pass me the controller behind you?
Can I wrap it? Thanks. Do you need some sugar?
Oh no, I've had a lot of sugar.
So Ollie makes all these like sort of really
yeah. What would you
sort
describe
of
it
funky
as?
sort of.
I'll take
They all
funky.
have a lot of
Yeah.
swing and are quite floopy, I would say.
Floopy.
Yeah, that's how I would.
What's been getting made while I've been away?
I'll take it.
Oh my
Just
god.
weird stuff.
More pop.
Amazing.
Oh, there's a
Bogdan
whole
voice.
music video. Things happen. It's pretty exciting. Like a generative music video with palms.
Oh, the lower octave one's a bit. Yeah.
It's cool.
Oh, let me filter it a bit.
So quite often in between sort of programming or whatever, we'll just like jam out in like Lisa's room or something and make a track. Oh wow.
He's still better than
Wow.
you.
Yeah, Lisa took my room.
Sorry. Everyone's welcome. All the time.
I'm just gonna do like 2 layers and then I'll pass it and then we can keep doing that. Otherwise, we'll all just hog it.
It's cool, do your thing.
My thing. Oh, oh.
He's I think we just recorded a passing thing.
Well, we did, but
You definitely have a slice in there.
we have some fan sound.
Oh, that was genius. Oh my
Wow.
god.
Free music. Thank you. All right.
Amazing. Resourceful.
If I slow that down, maybe it'll be. Do I have to turn off vary speed to get that slower? Oh, I can just make it granular actually. That's probably easier.
So we have this thing called granular synthesis, which we haven't really gotten into very much yet, but it lets you do a lot of temporal manipulations to sounds, like slow them down, speed them up, without changing their pitch. Maybe for another stream.
It's probably tuned a bit funny. Oh, yes, that's where I was. Yeah, I remember now. Alright. I'll make that an instrument actually. And okay, that's usable. I'm gonna hot seat it.
Lisa.
Yeah?
Do you want me to use your
I'm all
instrument?
musiced out.
Yeah.
Alright, I'm gonna use Ollie's instrument, if he's cool with that.
No, I'm not. No. How could you?
Are you in the key of D?
It's. I don't know what I set it to actually. It's Lydian something, I changed it.
Yeah. No, you're
Looks
in
like
A.
you are in the key
Yeah,
of
yeah.
D. Okay, cool. So maybe I need to tune the sound probably.
One more.
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
There you go.
There we go.
Yeah, so we just took a fire alarm that went by. A fire alarm that went
Fire
by.
alarm.
That's not how fire alarms work. A fire.
It had wings. It was just
some kind of fire car or something that went by, and
Fire
we're
car.
using that. We're tuning it to be in the tune of the pitch of the song. Nice.
nice. Yeah.
So very quickly we just like, oh, there's a fire thing. Let's record it. Immediately using it as an instrument.
Oh, there's some voices in there as well. It's kind of nice.
I'm gonna start with a clip just because I have such bad rhythm that I'm just gonna mess with a pre-recorded drum clip. It's okay, it's not cheating, it's dreams.
That's not cheating.
It's a nice way to get shuffles and stuff like that quick. Swing,
Yeah.
swing that
Yeah.
someone sat and done.
Actually, like a treble break if you like
I
slow down a treble
I
break.
kind of love treble breaks. to be
Yeah.
honest.
Especially if you slow it down to like
Yes,
half tempo.
I love that
and
idea.
then like low pass filter or something.
And what's great is you can just switch out that for another instrument.
So I don't know if maybe Lisa does know this, but like you can shift drag the M to automatically tempo shift it into shape.
Oh, should we shift? Say that again?
What, the speed?
Yeah, check this out. Maybe you didn't know this. So remember, like this was set to 100% speed, and Lisa was like, "Oh, I'm gonna come in and like turn it to 50% speed." But actually, so normally if you drag this with R2, it adds loops. But if you hold down L1, it stretches the whole
Oh
thing.
my god.
So that's like
I
a
feel like I
single
did
thing.
know that, but like didn't know that. That was amazing. So Ollie
pretty
just
cool.
suggested that I actually switch out the instrument for treble break, which I think I'm gonna do actually, because I love this
so
pattern.
Yeah.
I love the pattern, but I kind of want to get a different instrument on it. So I'm gonna. What's really cool about clips and stuff is if you like the way a pattern sounds, you can always go in and drag another instrument on top of it, and it'll keep all the MIDI notes there, all the piano roll notes there, but it will change out the sounds. So what are we feeling like? I love bloops and pops.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's such a crowd pleaser. Okay, too bloopy though. Sometimes you gotta
It's a
listen
bit-
to things
bit
to see if
happy.
you
I
don't.
mean, you could add bloopy thing on top of the drums. Have two drums at once.
Paprika's just always
Freak
good.
is yeah.
Wow.
except now.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
apart
so
from when
the
it should
issue is
be.
like the treble
Treble
drums.
break is pretty intense, yeah.
Yeah, and the treble drum kit doesn't actually have hi-hats and stuff, so like the rhythm won't very easily sort of translate to other drums.
What if I do this?
Uh-huh.
I'm just gonna go in and like randomly delete a few things. Actually, I don't know if I'm feeling that cowbell at all. Oh, is it down here?
It's the blue one, yeah.
So Lisa, so you can again like L1 and cross on any of the side elements there, on the side
Yeah.
of the
Oh, yeah,
side of the
thank-
piano roll to like set the whole row at once, basically. It's a very quick thing that people use.
Now I'm just gonna use the pencil tool to draw in some notes. Some kick drum. It's kind of a slow jam.
That's cool.
And I'm gonna use this kick drum to duck the volume of some other things in this.
Just shout out for the symbol
Yeah.
of the ducking there.
Duck, yeah, this is expert icon design.
So what does that actually do then?
So to put it simply, if I turn this slider up, this will be used to control anything that's listening to sidechain channel A. So if I set this kick drum to sidechain channel A and then turn this up to 100%, 100% of its volume will be affecting anything I set to receive on channel A. So if I select everything here and open up the compressor, I'm just going to turn it on again to make sure that it's on everything. And I'm going to set that to receive by just putting this slider to the left.
you don't want to have the compression on.
Yeah. And you get some visual feedback as well.
So now you can hear that everything else, the volume goes down when that kick drum comes in, which is kind of like it's like a cliche, but it's a very dramatic effect, which I like. This is kind of deep. I feel like we need maybe like a higher pitched melody or something. Does anyone want to try that, or I can do it if no one else?
I can.
Yeah,
Bogdan,
alright.
you haven't done anything yet.
Yeah, I haven't done anything all day.
I want to.
We can have someone else come in and do it instead of the same old audio people.
I'm in such a
all the time.
melancholy mood that it's going to be really sad.
But that's not what.
So actually, I'll show you something cool. So someone made this really cool instrument that I'm going to try to recreate that I really like. I'm going to get this triangle-like instrument. So by default, this instrument sounds like this. But
only when Bogdan plays it does it sound like that.
okay, so I'm going to get rid of these instruments over here, and sorry, these effect fields, and I'm going to bring in an effect field. And here's a really interesting technique. I'm going somewhere with this, I promise.
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
So
Oh,
this
God.
effect field currently does nothing if I go into it, but I can make this effect field fine-tune up by 50%. It's very slightly wobbly when I go in there, but I can make the whole effect field have a sinusoidal. So if you pay close attention to like the shape, it's now got a. The whole thing is like fading in and out the whole effect basically.
Yeah, so it's like off and on.
It's too much pitch tuning. I don't want it to be too extreme, and I'm gonna turn down this sort of overall color there. The next step is I'm gonna make the sound have a long release. So now we're in this sort of like melancholic sort of like thing. And on the oscillator page, so this sound actually has, if I turn off the oscillator, it goes like that.
Maybe turn it down a little bit. It's kind of loud. Yeah, there you go.
But I can add occasionally a random sort of high-pitched 2 octaves up. So now it's got like a hyper sort of like high oscillator combined with the normal sound of the synthesizer. But I can mix that in so it'll only sometimes trigger that. So this is using randomization on the mix basically. So now some of the notes I play will have the high pitch synth, and some won't. It's just nice sort of analog wobble basically. I quite like that. Is that okay?
That's great.
Is that what you,
Delicious.
does that jive with your...
Does that jive? So jives.
Alright, so, okay, I think it needs some delay and reverb first, actually.
We're going floaty with this tune.
So actually, what this needs as well is like... Okay, so at the moment, because I think we've turned down the speed, the delay, so the delay effect won't be in time with our song. So we need to do something really quickly to do that. So if I go to the gadgets menu here and get this delay, and stick it in my timeline, this automatically makes this delay gadget have the tempo of the timeline. So now everything will actually be correctly timed. All right, let's record something. What kind of thing were you? It's in minor or something.
It's in D. What did you do?
Lydian.
Nice. Okay, cool.
Nice.
Is that too much release?
A little bit.
If you turn it down, it's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's better.
Oops.
Get in there.
This is very aesthetic.
There you go. So that's kind of cool.
I really want to get Ollie to lay some bars down for us.
You'd love that. But it's your turn. We know it's fire in the booth. You got this.
And actually, if you listen carefully, like, even though these other instruments are getting the ducking effect from the Paprika kit, this one hasn't been set up to do that. So you get this cool effect where, like, the other instruments are ducking out, but the lead synth here isn't ducking out, basically. And commonly, you might want to do a thing where, you know, it's doing what it's doing for one iteration of the whole song, but only the second time do we get the melody, basically. So now the song's a bit longer.
10. I just want to hear this come in. This is really moody. I like it.
I like it.
Ah,
It's not
yes.
tuned right,
I wondered
yeah.
why. Oh, this one's not tuned, right? It was
Well,
just for that
it's
note.
just tuned to, we're for that note.
Got
Yeah,
it.
sorry.
I feel like
I was so disappointed. I was like,
I feel like what this actually needs is a vocal sample. Of
You
some
could,
kind.
yeah.
yeah. I mean, Bogdan, this
No.
could be your chance.
Do we
Who
have,
wants to sing? Anyone?
we have the vocal stuff in the vocal collection.
Liam,
Liam, sing for us.
That would be bad for
just hit one note.
Why doesn't Abby could sing? No singing. Just say a phrase.
Rosebud can just make a noise.
Rose, actually, we already have some
No, yeah,
noises from
Rosebud's actually
Rosebud.
Yeah,
But
creation today.
we could
we-
hunt them down, but
we need
yeah.
more Rosebud.
Can
You
just,
just
just
say something.
one note.
We could do the 1, 2, 3 dream sting.
Nah, come on.
1, 2, 3 dreams.
I'm gonna add a little sub.
Yeah.
Tom, you wanna lay down some
bass yet, I
bars
just
for
realized,
us?
yeah.
Please rap for us, Tom. Tom's actually
could
really
I'll be
make
good
it
at
so
rapping.
happy.
Full release. That's when that.
You can make up for rest. Because when you're gonna.
Yeah, you were
Yeah, when
supposed
you
to.
gonna.
Welcome, Tom, you.
Yeah, what, I can do it. Whatever you. What do we need? What do we
Right
need?
there.
Yeah, I am.
Just say Pomeranian.
Yes.
Yeah. Shall we just say Pomeranian? That would work, right?
You should whisper
Yeah, shall we
it.
whisper?
Please whisper Pomeranian.
Should we do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Okay.
mute the timeline so that doesn't record
Right,
the
yeah,
sound
yeah.
of that as well.
So we're whispering Pomeranian into.
Into the camera, yes.
Pomeranian.
All of us, or just Tom? It might be a bit, yeah, it'd be a
I
bit
think
creepy
just
if we all
Tom, yeah.
whispered. All right.
Pomeranian.
Yeah. You ready?
Right.
3,
Hi everyone.
2, 1. To the-
Wow,
Wow,
that's
that's
really
actually a really good
It's just-
recording.
It's ASMR.
Wow. Okay. Let's make that a bit floaty.
Sounds like a perfume advert.
Pomeranian for men.
Pomeranian.
Yeah, and you want to make it sound like it's coming to an old distorted radio, basically, from the 90s when we're nostalgic for the 90s.
There we go.
Add some vinyl traction.
Yes.
Oh yes, that's coming up next. Let me duplicate the sub thing first. There we go. Boom. Should we have it as an instrument, or just
Nah,
chuck it in there
just
as
the
a?
vocal sample.
It's the hook. Okay. Let's do that.
Nice.
I'm going to use an effect field as well to low pass before it.
Perfect. You can actually high pass it, maybe. Oh yeah, or low pass it.
We could.
I mean,
You're feeling crazy.
you could do what you want to do.
that too works. We'll see. If it doesn't work, we'll swap.
Hit it.
Here we go.
It's perfect.
I just had an idea. Could I
Yep.
try something?
I'll go
fun?
for it. Yeah.
I know you guys said you didn't want to turn this into an instrument, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
Not in this one. We're not putting a donk in this one. Maybe.
Maybe. We're not doing it, maybe.
Pom, 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 pom. And it's kind of cool because the game is out now, so like we can do this all the time. And so can you,
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. 12-hour stream.
Like I'm gonna get home after work and do this probably, and also all weekend.
Oh, I can make it a low pad.
If there are any questions about audio features or tech or anything, I guess we
tech.
probably gathered some. We can do a quick Q&A and stuff.
Yeah, we've been answering questions as like people have been asking questions, and then you've done something that's answered them. So they've been like, "Can you do this?" And they're like, "Oh, yes."
Oh. So Ed asked, what happens if you drop an instrument on another instrument? And the answer is it replaces that instrument. Oh. Yeah, that's cool. So if you have an instrument, actually we could probably say that. If you have an instrument freeform view like this one, and drop another instrument onto that freeform view, you now have nested sounds, and you can have like regions that play different sounds in that folder, basically. I think there's an instrument we have which is called staccato guitar or something, and that does that.
Oh, wow.
So Ollie just added like Lisa just added randomization to the panning. So it's really cool. It's like we use this randomization feature everywhere to randomize all kinds of stuff. It adds so much sort of depth to everything.
I'm a big fan of like occasional reverb, like not reverb that's just there all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do a slightly fancy thing by adding a keyframe that will just turn on some reverb just at this exact moment, and I can move it around later if I don't like where it is.
What if you add pawns?
That's an excellent idea. Who said that?
It's not long enough.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, so that keyframe now adds reverb. Just at that point.
That works.
I don't like about this. Another cool thing is if you want to just listen to one
Can
sound.
we make objects react to specific sounds in the timeline, or will we only be able to make it so they react to all sounds?
You can absolutely make them react to specific
Yeah, I mean, in the other scene where we did the VJ thing, we plugged out of like individual sounds into individual Pomeranian parts to control them separately. So you can definitely do that.
Tom Lee's suggestion is that we take the POM, have it slowly drifting in the screen for this kind of music, bouncing in the corners like a DVD screensaver.
Do we need to have a Pomeranian, but also like a vaporwave grid?
Yes.
Sounds like you're setting us up for something. Bogdan.
This is gonna be an all-nighter, I can tell.
I'm just gonna really check to see what it sounds like.
Stuff always sounds cool. At higher tempos.
Stuff always do sound cool.
This is really cool.
Can I add some hats? Let's make some hats. Or maybe.
Sometimes Ollie and I will spend our lunchtimes just like
Yeah.
doing like controller back and forth jams. It's really fun.
There's nice shakers here. There they are. Found
Yep.
it. Cool.
That's them.
These work with everything.
I like that melody, Bogdan.
Alright, I'll just record it like later at a time. Do it.
Oh, cool.
Again.
So that's the arpeggiator playing the same note over and over again really quickly.
So I'll just stick them there. And it's good, because if you're not happy with your performance, you can just undo anything immediately, then do it again. But that's good. I'm going to take that off.
Beats to relax to.
Beats to... Music to
Beats
not
to
vinyl.
dreams too.
Yeah.
To do a whole dream.
Somebody asked, I noticed a couple of times in the stream earlier, whether you can listen to music made in the game while creating stuff. As in like not running play mode or whatever. And you totally can, because under the timeline there's a play button which previews. And you have a timeline playing while you create if you press that button, basically. So yes, you can listen to community creations as you sculpt or whatever. Even if time isn't running.
Needs to be a little bit lower. There we go. Yeah, there we go. You probably can't hear that yet, but it'll come up. I can just about make it out in headphones. So go there. Loop. Cool. Just a single. There we go.
Maybe we should fade in the Saffron kit actually.
Yeah. Oh, we could do a bunch of stuff with effect
Yeah,
fields here
just
too.
fade in a little bit.
Fade that in. Let's chuck in a pitch one.
It's bold.
Yeah,
bold
I mean-
choice. I mean, there isn't much total stuff
We'll
there,
see.
so it's not gonna be too bad.
Let's just hear it for like.
Plus 12s and minus 12s for a pitch are really good because they're the same melody. It always fits the same sort of tonality,
Yeah,
but it gives it a different tone.
it'd just be an octave up for this one. So you get weird wonkiness
That
as we're
works
going in and
quite
out. I'll do a tiny one here. Right. Make it a little bit. Where's it gone? The ha ha ha's. Is it
That's
this?
it. That's it. Yeah.
I might just do it a little bit shorter. Ah no, it was not. Dave shaking his head.
He's shaking his head in approval. It's an approving head shake. Yes.
Cool. Bogdan, do you want to break it now?
Break it.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Just do your thing.
No, I like it as it is. I don't want to do anything else.
Oh, that's wholesome.
Oh, this is cool.
Everyone wants this released into the Dreamiverse, so we should definitely.
Nice.
Yeah, we definitely will. Yeah.
I still
one
feel
thing
like it
wanna-
needs like a melody, like a lead melody.
Well, it does actually later on, doesn't it?
Yeah, I suppose it does.
I feel like this kit is too much in the intro. I feel like it should be like
Yeah, you might be right. You just delete it.
maybe it should only kick in along with
Yeah.
I'll do a high pitched little staccato.
I like when the kick drum
Alright.
just sort of like ducks some ambient stuff, basically. I like this.
I really like the siren.
I have an idea.
Yeah.
So creepy.
I mean, we have to add the Pomeranian now, right? And do the vaporwave thing.
I'm gonna just make that last bar before the draw. Draw a little.
Appear when it says Pomeranian.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then
Just like
disappear.
fade in and
Fade
Yeah.
to black.
Yeah, that's good.
like dust in the wind.
What am I looking for? We're getting to the point where it's time to do a little bit of. Everything sets at A, right?
One is on B.
What's up?
The shaker.
I'm gonna mess that all up. I'm so sorry. Putting everything on A. And I'm gonna keyframe a thing.
So what are you doing, Lisa?
Oh, sorry. I'm gonna use the keyframe to turn down the reverb just before this kind of beat moment comes in, just to make it like a little bit more dramatic.
And that A thing was one of the
Oh, I see. Cool.
one of the channels we have for reverb.
I mean, you could have used an effect field to turn on the reverb there. Oh,
Yeah,
you
but
want to turn
the
it up
problem-
post.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
okay.
Yeah, I want it to be like hard reverb off instead of like no
Yeah,
longer
That's a
sending
good
to
technique.
reverb.
Yeah. I mean, one advice I was planning to give to people who are just starting off making music, who've maybe never made music before and using these tools for the first time, is many people pick up the controller and start playing a melody, and they play a melody for like 30 seconds, and they kind of randomly sort of played stuff, and they're like, this doesn't sound like music, it sounds kind of random. Is that like, if you take a very short snippet, even if it's random, if you repeat that multiple times, you've now legitimized that randomness, basically. So don't perform a whole song for a minute, perform 5 seconds, and then take that, and even if it sounds random at the beginning, once you've looped it 4 times, it's gone from random to like intentional composition. Cool. That's something I wanted to mention. Is like, think short segments. This is a How many
love
levels
that.
are you ever going to see with the song in it now?
That's the resonance on the low
A fair few, I
pass.
think. We'll check back tomorrow and see how many times we've used.
Dramatic high pass there. Jeez.
Just slightly. We haven't added vinyl noise yet.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to lo-fi it
We
up.
did it.
Are we doing the
tick
vinyl thing
box.
again?
The nice thing about this instrument is there's a lot of different options, so I usually just listen to the ones I like and then delete the rest. Just make it
I
louder.
can't hear it
Your,
on here.
your
Yeah.
favorite random vinyl crackle sound.
Oh, they're also low pass because I'm
Right,
in the low
that
pass
is
section.
why.
There's also traffic.
Yeah, it's such a subtle sound.
There's still low pass for some
It's,
reason.
yeah.
Let's just take it out.
It's because your playhead's still at the low pass
Right.
in the low pass region, so it gets
There we go.
affected. Nice.
Oh, that one.
Nice.
There you go.
The nice kind of high passing
Yeah.
one.
And then I'm going to turn it into a sound effect just because I don't really need it to be an instrument. And definitely going to hook that up to the sidechain so that it ducks
Oh
with
yes,
the kick.
nice.
Oh, yes!
Oh yes.
That's
Common
my
audio
jam.
thing that happens. Like, hey, I'm going to just put a hi-hat on it. Oh, yes!
Just like anytime you duck things that shouldn't be ducked from a kick drum, it's just like
Illegal
it's my
ducks.
jam.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
it is nice.
Oh, it's quite intense though. Let me just dial that back a bit.
Oh, we didn't hit it already.
Yeah, it's because I put a really high pass. Alright, I've been hogging this for a bit. I feel like it's time to
It's
pass
got to
it.
happen
so-
now.
let's just
Are we
have
gonna
fun.
pomify this?
How much time do we have? Do we have time, or
When are we done?
Well,
I think John already
an hour
wants
and a
to.
half left in the stream. How long do you guys need?
10 minutes. People who are going
Ed
to
and-
come up and get on, and then we're just like,
Ed and John are saying they only need 10 minutes, but that's probably not true at all.
Sort of nice sort of sleepy evening like.
Yeah. So, do we want Pomeranian here?
I think we need to put the Pomeranian
Yeah.
in there.
Let's make it happen.
You should granularize.
I just want to hear this.
Can you glitch it out?
Oh, it was so high pitched that it just sounded like squeaks. Just do a little subtle one. Yeah. Granularize. Can you say it? Granularize.
Yeah, and make it like a rhythmic thing with an interval. Like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean.
Ooh, wrong. There we go. It's so quiet. Oh, the
I think it's
playhead
'cause
keeps
the
going back to.
playhead, yeah.
I'll stick it there.
Yes, that's what I wanted.
Is it only later on? I guess.
Yeah, yes. There you go.
I just want it to overlap a little.
Yes.
Maybe make it so it's like a sharp
And sync
right
to
angle
beat.
triangle.
Oh, you want it like
Yeah, like,
Yes,
yeah,
sharp.
yes.
Yeah.
yeah, but with less overlap maybe.
Less
As in
overlap,
like
I agree.
in the shape of the grain. That kind of selection.
Do not want to get the palm in there.
That's terrifying. Alright,
It's horrendous.
a little bit back.
You can use the D-pad to control that as well.
Ah, every day's learning day.
I wish you guys could hear this in the headphones. It's so much better.
It's really spatial.
If
It's
anyone
like right
wants
in your
to,
ear.
like,
I've got mono. I've only got one headphone. Just kind of sad.
So I'll sidechain this as well. So did you send them all to A?
yeah.
Yeah, cool. So I'll just duck it like 50. And we can just play it over and see if it works.
Which one is it?
The sidechain's quite extreme, so you can't really make it out. I'll turn it up a bit as
Are you
well.
recording that as well, or?
No, I'll just play it back. Okay.
Play it. This is actually kind of good. Tomorrow I'm gonna listen
just
to it
gonna
and be like,
record
this
in.
is terrible.
Yeah. This was hard. Oh, the last one was a bit strange, but I liked it up
kinda
until
liked
there. So,
You want to have some gaps in it, I think. Otherwise, it'll be like
Yeah.
Pomeranian the whole time. You don't want that.
on for
Or
life.
do you?
Could do random note drop.
Don't want.
Actually, let's just stick it like that.
You could randomize the interval so that it changes rhythm as well. That could be cool.
I think it already is.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So that changes the
yeah.
speed at which
Yeah.
these grains play. So
But it's always synced to the master tempo, so it'll just
Yeah.
be subdivisions of the master tempo that are
Yeah.
randomly triggering.
So these are these are the in-depth tools. There's a lot in there to learn. So
Yeah.
like it looks complicated, but like I promise, if you take the time,
start time.
you can go through all the
Yeah,
stages one by
it's-
one, and there's a lot to learn. But I mean,
You learn it
yeah.
all piecemeal. It's just one thing at a time. It's quite easy.
I hope we can do a stream at some point that like kind of actually goes page by page and like shows you what this stuff does.
Ah, I can remember. Yeah, so this is just randomizing those grains that we just made. So it should pan around if you have headphones. So I'll go back. Let's hear it.
You can mute the other one.
Yeah.
Or just have it come in.
Oh. Let's just hear what it sounds like with some of the things. Let's go shakers. That. Where's it gone? Is it this one? Yeah. Well, there's an intro.
Yeah,
Maybe it should
actually.
only be in the second half of the section. Actually.
Yeah.
Or you
like-
could
give
make
it some
you
variants.
could make that an intro. That'd be
Yeah,
cool.
there you go.
Or an outro.
Oh yeah. I mean. So which ones did I solo? It was.
Just whatever
This one?
the pattern is showing.
Oh
for
yeah,
the
of course.
chorus.
Keep this going. Keep this one. When I press that right in my ear, it says pop up.
Yeah, Pomeranian.
And this one. Cool, that's it. Off. From the top.
Yep.
I'm doing it.
Do it.
Woo!
Yeah. So I think the last thing we need to do is keyframe the play.
Yeah. So you can, yeah. You should probably
I
say
just
that.
did it
That's
quickly,
cool.
like-
What I did there quickly was just pitch down the drums. Easy variants. on it, so-
Extra lo-fi.
Yeah. Beats to chill out to.
So like now when you loop this around, obviously it'll come back to the beginning here. So if you were to put this in your level, you don't want to hear the intro again. You want to hear this looping section come in. But at the moment, if you set this to loop, it'll play right over. So it's over here. But what you want it to do is come back to here. So get a keyframe. And you can keyframe the playhead like I did earlier. So you have to hold down L1 to drag this and then animate. So that's the wrong thing. There, so now I've keyframed the playhead to go there when this keyframe is hit. And I can put the keyframe over here. Actually, let's put
You want
at
at
the
the
end
end,
of
yeah.
this section. And that'll instantly move the playhead back to where it's supposed to be.
Was that on the
actually,
beat?
No, because I made a very small mistake. Let's do that again. So now you have a song that has an intro, plays the middle section, and then has an outro thing, but then it just goes back to the actual main section. So actually, with some logic, you could have had like more sections or whatever going into each other. But yeah, that sounds cool. Nice jam.
Sweet.
We did it. It's a track.
Should we save this?
No, delete it. No,
Oh,
save
wait,
it.
is anyone
Save
still
it.
watching the stream?
Yeah.
What should we name this thing?
Someone wanted Pomdrop.
Pomdrop. That's pretty good.
Is that one word? 2 words. Did I say yeah?
Pomdrop it is. Beautiful.
I'm looking forward to hearing the remix of
Yeah, please, people remix this. I cannot wait.
We'll be checking in the morning to see how many times it's been used.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Cool.
I think I
Nice.
just made
Well
That was
done,
fun.
guys. We're going to bring in John and Ed.
You guys should stick around as well.
I would love to
Mm.
stick
Yeah, what's-
around.
We need to at least have room for you two on the show.
Yeah, you just stay there. We'll sit on your laps.
I'll be back.
I have two.
rip another
Oh
one.
no.
Rip another laptop, yeah.
Headphones for you, Ed.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, phone.
Who else can we squidge in? Is there a pair of other ones?
Yes, there is. These ones.
All right, let's get back together.